Today I learned best of the week number 1. Pokémon is the highest grossing media franchise of all time with $95 billion, beating out other franchises such as Star Wars, Marvel, and Mickey Mouse. Don LaFontaine, the movie trailer voice guy, offered to record an answering machine message for anyone that contacted him, if he had the time. He received so many requests, he had to stop offering. In a home where nobody answered the phone, one man or woman left a message at the tone. In Japanese folklore, a wu is a strange beast that lives in the forests. If you are hiking and run into a wu, don't be scared. Just offer to split your lunch with it and the beast will most likely repay you by carrying your heavy backpack. This is better than my other favorite, Bitobe 2. He makes the sound of footsteps behind you when you are walking at night. He's harmless, but you can ask him to pass you by stopping and waving him in front, saying after you, Bitobe 2-san. Ants have designated paramedics that are assigned to rescue their wounded soldiers, carry them back to their nest and help them heal by gently holding the hurt limb in place with their mandibles and front legs while intensely licking the wound for up to 4 minutes. Medic. I've been shot. I'm coming, buddy. Lick lick lick. What the hell are you doing? Damn it, man. Do you want to live or not? During World War I, the British Army had PALS battalions, letting men from the same community to serve in the war together. This practice was ended after the Somme offensive, as entire battalions were wiped out, meaning their communities back home were devastated. The small town in Hampshire, near to where I lived some 20 years ago, has a traditional Christmas mummers play that goes back hundreds of years. The play, performed on December 26th at various pubs, actually makes no sense at all, and the reason is relevant to this topic. During World War I, nearly all the men joined up together, and large numbers were killed on the Somme. After the war, there was no written record of the play, and most of those who took part had been killed. The new play was cobbled together from fragments that people remembered. The phenomenon of forgetting things when you enter a room is called doorway effect. Crossing from one side of the door to the other side causes a mental block in your brain to erase the old memory and make a room to a new one. As of 2015, Japan's pachinko market generates more gambling revenue than that of Las Vegas, Macau and Singapore combined. It's not gambling though. You pay to play the game and win little metal balls, then you can trade the balls for tokens and later sell the tokens to a different place if you don't want them. So pachinko players aren't really gambling, they're just making high-risk investments in a lucrative scrap metal market. Today I learned that 57% of Russians think moon landing was a hoax. Hello Kitty is the second highest grossing media franchise of all time at $80 billion, behind Pokémon, $95 billion, beating out other franchises such as Star Wars, Marvel, and Mickey Mouse. The name Alfred literally means elf council, and that Alfred the Great, first King of England, was the first known person to bear that name. Not even close to being the most interesting thing about Alfred the Great, the only Anglo-Saxon king of England ever called the Great, by the by. He was a military king, who beat back the Vikings, and dramatically increased the power of the navy. He was an educator, who encouraged literacy and built schools. He presided over extensive legal reforms. Imo Koivunen, who overdosed on methamphetamine in World War II while evading Soviet forces and ended up skiing 100 kilometers during the night, losing his squad, ammunition and food supplies. The population of Ireland is still about 2 million less than what it was before the potato famine. In 1965 South Africa gave Israel 100 tons of uranium in exchange for just 30 grams of tritium. The Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses II was issued a passport by the modern Egyptian government in order to have his mummified body sent to France for examination, as traveling humans, no matter alive or deceased, are required by Egyptian law to have a passport in order to leave the country. The ancient Turkish sport, kayıs, girl chasing. A man and woman on horseback chase each other to the finish line. If the man wins, he steals a kiss. If she wins, she whips the man. DNP, a chemical that causes rapid weight loss in humans. It was prescribed to 100,000 people in the 1930s in the US and then discontinued after 2 people used 10 times the recommended dose and died. It's being studied as potential treatment for obesity, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's diseases, and epilepsy. I feel like it's important to point out in a top-level comment that DNP is very dangerous. Everything you see here at the time of my posting has an implication of it's only people who are stupid and odd who have problems, which is unfortunately completely untrue. DNP has a severe adverse effect profile even in therapeutic doses. If we could make it safe just by standardizing doses properly, companies would be selling it like hotcakes by now. DNP's MO is referred to as a mitochondrial decoupler. If that isn't scary on its own, it basically makes your entire body's energy production leaky. For every calorie your body attempts to process for anything, including basic survival, a substantial portion is just ineffectively converted into heat. Your body then has to use significantly more energy to keep you alive, which is where the weight loss comes in. In essence, you're forcing your body into the metabolic stress of a long day of endurance exercise when you're just sitting around. If that were all it were, though, we could still make it pretty safe. It's not, though. Unlike normal energy use when you're, say, running, DNP is indiscriminate in where you leak. And not all of our physiology has tolerance for that kind of strain. There's a bunch of nasty stuff that can happen, see the study, but the one I find least abstract and most compelling is the rapid development of cataracts and severe vision loss that many have experienced even in normal dosing. Which leads to the longer-running question of whether lucky people with no bad side effects during a DNP cycle are setting themselves up for losing vision a decade earlier, too. This stuff can quite literally make you go blind. So I just hope this helps balance any perception of this being a misunderstood wonder drug that's tameable with simple care and discipline. You can lose weight fast, sure, but you can lose a lot of other things that are much harder to gain back. Focus on sustainable lifestyle changes in diet and activity to fuel your weight loss, and it'll be permanent while coming with a bunch of benefits rather than be a band-aid with a ton of risks. In Australia and the UK, crossing guards or crosswalk attendants are commonly known as lollipop men or lollipop ladies, because of the modified circular stop sign he or she carries, which resembles a large lollipop. The last major motion picture to receive a VHS release was David Cronenberg's A History of Violence. And the first VHS film released was a South Korean film titled The Young Teacher in 1976. This means VHS lasted 30 years. DVD is 23 years old at this point. Mexico City started making a parade on Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, inspired by the scenes shown on James Bond movie Spectre where the agent is chasing down a villain during the holiday. Prior to the movie, this event did not exist. Golden poison frog, one of the most toxic animals on Earth, can kill 10 adult humans with just 1 milligram of its poison. Interestingly, golden poison frogs raised in captivity and isolated from insects in their native habitat never develop venom. This particular species is one of only 2 species known to be used to tip the arrows of the indigenous people. Virtually all of the other species of poison dart frogs aren't toxic enough. Animals with blue pigments are extremely rare in the wild, and animals that are blue, unlike other colors which are caused by pigments, appear so because of structures in their bodies that reflect blue light.